So imagine this: you are sitting at your desk in Winnipeg, sipping your Tim Hortons, when you suddenly get invited to a wedding in London. That's exactly what happened to me. Or maybe in your case, you just want to take a vacation, sit the Big Ben, ride the iconic red double-decker bus, and pretend that you are in James Bond movie. But wait, you realize you need a UK visa. Well, guess what? I applied for my UK standard visa, did my biometric right here in Winnipeg, and it got approved in just 5 days. So today what I'm going to do is show you how I did it step by step, because even though I have applied for UK visa in the past on multiple occasions and gotten approved, this particular process was unique because this time around I applied as a permanent resident in Canada. So I will take you from application to biometric to receiving my passport with that shiny visa sticker, so you can also do it yourself stress-free, because I've seen people complain or ask about how they can go about applying for a UK visa whilst they are in Canada. So stay tuned, because I also share some common mistakes that delays people's visa, and trust me, you want to avoid these if you are planning to take a trip soon. So here are a few things that I'll try to cover in this video today. The first one will be the UK visa type you should apply for as a Canadian PR. Secondly, the exact documents I submitted and why they matter. Thirdly, step-by-step application process, including how to book biometrics if you are in Winnipeg, and this will apply to other places, so you can go through the same process and apply it to your case if you are in a different province. Then also the priority service I paid for and whether it's worth it. So grab a notebook or a pen and let's go through the step-by-step process. You might want to save this for the future in case you need it. So the first challenge will be choosing the right visa. You are going to need to apply for a standard visa. This is the most common visa for tourism, visiting friends or family, attending events, or even a short business trip. Good news is it's valid for up to 6 months, so you can apply up to 3 months in advance before your trip. And as much as possible, what they will do is they will count 6 months from the day you state you want to enter the UK. In my case, I'm planning to possibly enter the UK in December. So when I applied and I stated the date in December, they counted 6 months from that date, and that's what they gave me. What this does is it allows me to at least enter the UK within that 6 months period on multiple occasions. So even after going to the UK in December, if I plan on maybe going to the UK later in 2026, that's the early part of it, I can still use the same visa to enter the United Kingdom without having to now reapply, as opposed to maybe other countries like Schengen, where the exact number of days that you state is what they are going to give you. One mistake that you can avoid in this particular case is don't apply for the wrong visa category. Some people end up applying for a work visa or other categories, even though their main goal is mainly to visit the UK, either for tourism or to visit other family members. Unless your sole purpose of going is to work, there is no need to choose the work visa option. People sometimes tick the wrong box and get refused because their purpose does not match the visa type that they are picking. Because if you choose that you are going to visit for visiting purposes or for tourism, you need to make sure that the purpose that you state when they ask you align with that particular purpose. No need to select you are visiting for tourism, but instead go and pick a work visa which does not align. Secondly, let's talk about the type of documents that you will need. In my case, here is exactly the type of documents that I submitted. The first one was my passport, and this must be valid for the entire stay that you plan to have in the United Kingdom. As much as possible, I will advise you that make sure it's valid for at least more than 6 months past the time that you plan to enter the United Kingdom. That way, any visa that they will give you will possibly cover that through to the end of your passport and allow you to reuse it, especially if you are in Canada, where sometimes it's very tedious. You have to fly to maybe another province just to attend biometrics or even submit your application, so you don't have to redo the same process if you plan to travel within the next 6 months. Also, you need to submit your proof of residency. So in my case, I submitted my Canadian PR card as proof of my residency. If you don't have a permanent residency in Canada, and in your case you might be a temporary resident, be it a work visa, a student, or maybe another category, you need to prove them that you have a valid stay in Canada, and this will show that legally you are allowed to live in Canada, and as a result you can apply for that visa from Canada. Thirdly, you need to attach your bank statement. I attached my bank statement and I submitted 3 months of statement showing that I can afford the trip that I plan to take, because you need to show them that you have enough funds to be able to afford your stay in the United Kingdom, pay yourself through flying to the United Kingdom, and able to survive without having to resort to any government funds whilst you are there. Because the last thing they want to happen is allow you to enter the country and now you don't have enough money to take care of yourself, and the government need to now provide for you. Also, I submitted an invitation letter because you need to show your purpose of going to the United Kingdom, be it for tourism or to visit family members. If it's to visit family members, as much as possible, it would be nice to have an invitation letter from that particular family member, who might end up attaching other documents to show that legally they are allowed to stay in the United Kingdom, and as a result they can afford to invite you to come and visit them. But if you don't have a family member in the United Kingdom, you can still apply for this particular visa, where you now have to go and generate an itinerary to show that you have reasons to go, where you can build your own itinerary. You can use platforms to or go online and research some of the activities that you can do as a tourist in the United Kingdom, and now submit that to back your reason for going as a tourist. And since you are visiting family members, sometimes they might help provide accommodation. If not, and you are just a tourist, you might be able to submit a hotel booking, which is fine. In my case, I submitted proof of accommodation too, because it's a family member who is inviting me. That person is ready to at least accommodate me. So in that invitation letter, the person will call it out that yes, I'm ready to at least accommodate this person during his or her time in United Kingdom. But if it doesn't apply in your case, like I said, you can book a hotel or a hostel to back your application to show that you have accommodation whilst you're in the United Kingdom. Because there is a high chance that at the border entry they will ask you where you will be staying. Hotel booking or a letter from your host, most cases, will be able to help you to solve this or answer this particular question when they ask you. For me, I also attach a flight booking. Even though it's not something that they really ask you to add, I always try to attach flight booking to all my visa application. And I say flight booking, not a flight ticket, because there is a difference. A ticket means you've actually paid for it, but because this is a visa application, all I do is go online and make a booking, which will show how I plan to enter the country, which flights and which dates, and this will at least back the dates that I state in the application. As much as possible, a round trip is best, because the last thing you want to do is book a one-way ticket when you are telling them that you are just going to visit for a few weeks. It will go against your main reason for going into the country. And one tip that I will give you here is you don't need to pay for the flights right away. Even though you might be sure, or even if you are sure that your visa is going to be approved, as much as possible, you don't need to pay for the flights right away. You can get a hold on that reservation. Most cases, they will give you an opportunity to hold that reservation for a small fee. But personally, I try not to pay for these ones, because most airlines, even though they will tell you that they are going to hold it for 48 hours, they will end up holding your reservation in their system for up to a month sometimes. So even after that whole process, you can still go in and retrieve that particular reservation. And this will show your intent without risking money if the visa is delayed, because the last thing you want to do is pay for a ticket And if your visa is delayed, you now need to go back and maybe change the whole ticket or maybe make changes to it, which might cost you extra money. In this particular area, one mistake that I would advise you to avoid, because personally I'm falling victim to it, is don't submit blurry scan or forget translations if your documents are not in English. This happens to a lot of people because in your bid to scan the document, because you are not submitting original to a visa officer, most people end up scanning and having their documents being blurry. My advice is, as much as possible, make sure your scanned documents are as clear and readable to anybody. This will make sure that your application is not delayed or denied for reasons that you can easily could have answered or responded to. Now let's go over a step-by-step application process. That way you can at least follow what my steps that I went through and possibly get the same results that I got for myself. Truth is, this is where most people get nervous, but actually it is a straightforward application process. Firstly, what you need to do is go to the UK government visa website and fill out the form online. As much as possible, if you are somebody who can read and write, you can at least maneuver yourself through this whole process. So now after going through filling all the application, just to save time, I just jump to the end because it takes a while to go through each one of them, and mostly it's very self-explanatory, so it explains to you exactly what kind of information that they are looking for. After filling all those parts of the application, the only thing you need to do is just click continue. Then it brings you to the documents section where they tell you exactly what kind of documents are mandatory that they are looking for. One, they want to see colored copies of all your passports. Then they need to get evidence of funds that you are traveling. That's where your bank statement will come in handy. And if you are not a national of the country, so in this case, because you are applying from, let's say, Canada, you need to show them your residency status. Then after submission, they give you the option to upload the documents, and you can take the originals to the appointment center for them to help you get that one done. So you just have to select that, yeah, you've read, and you'll be adding those ones. You click save. Then now it brings you to the declaration section where they will explain to you exactly the requirement of the visitor visa, what can be done to you and what will happen to you if maybe you lie. You just have to confirm. When you go through and understand everything, you save and continue. Then now it brings you to the declaration section where they want you to declare that you've read everything and understand it, and that you are going to upload genuine documents. So if you are above 18, you select it yourself. If you are below 18, you need to make sure somebody does on your behalf. And if you are submitting on somebody's behalf, you need to take that one too. You accept and you go through. Then now they give you the option of going through to confirm your answers, because if you go to the next session, you might not be able to make any changes. Just continue. Then now it brings you to the payment window. On the payment window, you have option of selecting 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, depending on which one that you want. In this case, because we are going for 6 months, we'll just pick 6 months, save and continue. Then it brings you to that payment window that they tell you exactly how much you need to pay, and they'll tell you most people get decisions in 15 days. But like I said, mine came in less than 5 days. So if you're okay, you save to continue. Then it brings you to the payment window where you can just click continue to pay,
They will bring you to the payment window where you can pay with a credit card, PayPal, or even Google Pay.
The third stage will be to book your biometrics appointment. In Canada, as much as possible, there are a few locations that you can go to where they allow you to submit your biometrics for free, because they give you the option to upload your own documents online. So unless you want to pay for any extras, you can submit your biometrics for free. Winnipeg has a non-mandatory premium application center, because they don't have, it's not one of the locations that you can submit for free, which is something that I use. And for most non-mandatory premium application centers, they will charge you $280 just to submit your biometrics. In my case, my options were either to fly to Toronto or Vancouver or Halifax to go and submit biometrics, or I pay $280, that's USD, to submit in Winnipeg without having to move an inch from my city, which made more sense because flying to Toronto will end up costing me as much as the 280 USD, but I still have to sacrifice a day or two just to make sure that happens. So I submitted it in Winnipeg without having to fly outside the province. Then when you are done booking your biometrics appointment date, the next stage will be to upload your documents online. If you made a decision to submit at one of those free locations, you can upload your own documents for free. But if it's something that you don't want to do yourself, but you want it to be done for you at the visa submission center, you might have to pay a fee. In my case, even though it was getting paid for, I still decided to upload my own documents for free because most of the documents that I had were already digital copies. But if you choose not to use that service, you can now use the document upload assistance if you want them to help you at the VFS center. Then the next stage after doing that and uploading all your documents will be to attend the appointment. As much as possible, you can upload documents onto the portal until your appointment dates. But the catch here is most documents that you upload and submit, you cannot make changes to it. So make sure as much as possible, any document that you are submitting, you are sure you want the visa officer to see it. And when you attend the appointment, they will take your fingerprints and take a picture of you to show that you are the same person submitting the application. A pro tip here will be make sure you arrive as early as possible to the VFS center. But the truth is, in Winnipeg, there's normally no a queue because it's a premium center. So even if you get there 5 minutes before your appointment, they will still see you. And it's a smooth process. But the truth is, in Winnipeg, sometimes the appointment fills up very fast because when, let's say, most people are applying to travel and there are fewer slots available because those who do the biometrics come in either once a month or twice in a month. So if there are more people applying, then those slots will fill up very fast. Now let's talk about the priority services, whether it's really worth it. In my case, I paid for priority visa services. It cost me somewhere around $280, like I said, and it was worth it because the choice was either to fly to another province to do my biometrics or to go with this option. And I went with this option, and at least it was worth it. And it also helped me to at least get my decision and guarantee me a decision at least in 5 business days without having to wait longer, compared to me having to, let's say, fly to another province to get it all done. So in your case, what you need to do is go through all the priority services that they have and decide which one at least will serve your purpose if you are in a hurry. If your trip is urgent, let's say for a wedding, conference, or just can't wait, then I would say it's really worth it to go with the priority services. And because of the service that I paid for, it also covered courier return service. So my passport was shipped straight to my house without me having to go and pick it. But if you make a decision to maybe go the other route where you do the submission and everything by yourself, sometimes you might have to maybe go and pick up your passport yourself or pay for it to be delivered to your doorstep. But I would say if you are not in a rush, you can save money and just wait the normal 3 to, let's say, 6 weeks period without having to pay extra just to get the fast track services. So now let's talk about my timeline. here's exactly how long it took for me to at least get my whole process done when it comes to the visa application process. Day one, I submitted my online application and paid the fee. Then day two, I just went to the biometric appointment in Winnipeg. Then 3 to 5 days, what I did was I waited, and in that period, I was getting SMS notification from the UKVI on how my passport is going through the process. So they will let me know when the passport reached them, and they also sent me notifications to let me know when the passport left their center. That way I can start monitoring my mail for my passport. And I think on the 6th day, I got an email notification about my passport being sent. Initially, when I got it, I thought maybe they just let me know that they have received my passport, but in reality, it was telling me that my passport has been dispatched. Then I think on day 7, my passport showed up in my mail with my visa delivered to my door. A quick tip here, you can actually track your application process, even though sometimes they can send you email updates. So if you are somebody who wants to keep a track on the whole process, you can actually track it on their website. So looking at my timeline, basically, I think it took them less than 2 days to make a decision on the whole application, because in a 7-day period, the application was dispatched from Winnipeg and it got to them, and the visa was stamped and sent back to me, all within a 7-day period. So now let's look at some common mistakes to avoid if you also decide to apply for this visa. There are a few things that I would advise you to avoid if you don't want your visa to be at least refused for one reason or the other. The first one I'll say, and this is something that everybody should know, submitting fake bank statements. The UKVI will always find out, because one way or the other, they will try to verify it. And if they find out that it's fake, that might cost you a refusal, and sometimes it might even get you banned. Secondly, forgetting to show your ties to Canada. As much as possible, if you are applying from Canada, they need to know your ties to Canada. Are you here as a student, a worker? Are you a permanent resident? They need to know all that, because the truth is, if you're a Canadian citizen, you wouldn't have to apply for the visa. You might go through a different process. So they need to know your ties. So you can add things like job letter, lease agreement, any other thing that you feel will show that you have ties to Canada and that you are legally allowed to be here. Number 3, I would say booking non-refundable flights too early. And I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. If your application gets delayed, you lose that money. So as much as possible, make sure that any booking that you are making at least is refundable, or don't even pay for it. Just make a booking. That way, if anything happens, you can get your money back. Then last but not the least, I'll say uploading wrong documents. Double check everything that you upload onto the portal. Like I said, if you don't want the visa officer to see that document, there's no need to upload it, because when you upload and you click that submit button, you might not be able to go back and make changes to it. So make sure anything you're uploading is what you want the visa officer to see, and make sure you show enough money to support yourself and that you plan to return to Canada. That is what the UKVI really want to see. They want to see that, one, you have a reason for going, you can afford to take care of yourself, and you have a reason to come back. So if you're able to satisfy all these 3, then you know that possibly there's a high chance your visa is going to be approved. So there you have it. That's exactly how I got my UK visa approved in just 5 business days whilst I was living in Winnipeg. If you found this helpful, smash the like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share it to family and friends that you feel will also find some value out of this video. And I also make videos to help newcomers and international students who would like to try. So feel free to go through my archive and see whether there's any video in there that at least will help you one way or the other. And after watching the video, feel free to leave some comments below the video so I know how you felt about it, or at least I have an idea what you want to see on this channel, because the main goal of this channel is to help other people whilst they are maneuvering this whole Canada life. And if you want me to personally review your visa documents or help you with your travel plans, possibly book a one-on-one call with me using the link in the description area. Whether it's advice, information, or insights, I am always here to help. So feel free to reach out and let's do this together. Until the next video, I'll say cheers.